So, as I'm sure you have probably noticed, I have kind of been away for a little bit, and unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of doing daily vlogs. If you miss one day, you've basically missed an eternity. It's been, what, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks since the last time I put anything up, and I have vlogged. I haven't just not recorded. I've recorded stuff here and there, but it's like, I don't know, just piles on top of you, and eventually, before you know it, you're like under a mountain of unedited footage, and it gets very overwhelming. So, instead of trying to go back and catch up on everything, I figure I would just kind of try and start fresh, show you guys what I've been working on over the last couple weeks. So, first things first, August 26th was, I believe it was a Friday, and that was actually mine and Emily's 3-year anniversary. So for that day, we went out and had a Halloween-themed picnic out at Riverfront Park underneath the Ravenel Bridge. It was fun. We got a lot of weird looks from people who would walk by and see everything that we had set up, but who cares? It was fun. And that was basically like the biggest event that happened. Pretty much every other day has just been spent working at work or on my Halloween stuff. So, let's walk through and I'll show you guys what I have accomplished. But not before I turn on the air conditioner, because it is hot out here. Here we go. I think the last thing that I showed you out here that was completed was the Psycho Clown straitjacket guy person thing. And he's basically done. I ordered one more thing online for him that should be coming like in the next week. But for the most part, he's done. I also did some more work on the knife wheel. As you can see, got it completely painted black and everything. And that's kind of as far as I can go right now, because obviously the next step is to paint the design, and I want to do like red and white swirls. And my original first attempt at doing it was a complete and utter failure. You can kind of see that I tried drawing the spiral pattern on it, and it just did not work. Basically, what I did was I took this piece of string right here, and I had it attached to that staple right there. And I took a pencil, I wrapped it up with string, and then very slowly went like this and let the pencil unravel itself, basically. And as you can see, it worked, but the spacing of the spirals are just way too close. For something this big, that's just way too close, and it was not what I wanted at all. And I got all the way out to there, and I was like, you know what? I'm not liking this. So I stopped, and then I tried going the opposite way. I stretched it out completely all the way to the edge, and then instead of just letting it wrap itself, I tried also like twisting the pencil at the same time to ravel it up twice as fast. And that started working out as well. You can see that pencil line started there, and it started giving me the wider spiral like I was wanting, but eventually it just, I don't know, the pencil line started getting all wobbly, and it just was not working out well at all. So I kind of gave up on that method, and I actually ordered a very small, very cheap projector, and once that comes in, I'm going to just like project a spiral pattern on here and use that to kind of just like trace it so it's much more perfect, much more accurate. And then once that's done, I can paint it all in and get it looking all good. Plus I have a couple of light strings on the way as well, one of them which will go around the outer edge as well. You'll see. That'll be a few more days until all that stuff comes in. I got Emily's popcorn machine almost completely done. I got the plexiglass pieces all in place, all except for the back, because we didn't actually have enough pieces. So the back is still open. So instead, we're just going to use this piece of cardboard to cover up the back. And then a while back, you saw me cut off the handle of this pot. And so basically what I did with this was I got a 1/2 inch piece of threaded rod, and I drilled a hole through the top of this and through the bottom of the pot. And basically, you can see there's a nut right there that's just holding it in place. And then the nut up here holding it in place as well. And that looks pretty good. Obviously, it's not gonna be functional at all, but I think that looks pretty nice. And then basically all that's left for the popcorn machine is she has to make the popcorn sign that'll go across the front. I'll probably paint this red, and I kind of damaged this a little bit while I was drilling the hole, so kind of do a little bit of touch-up painting, and then the last step won't be done until Halloween day, I guess, is we'll get some popcorn, fill it up, and she has a couple of like fake rats and roaches and stuff that'll go in there, and I think it'll look pretty cool. And then I've been very productive actually over the last week and a half. I bought some new speakers because, you know, I always have like the ambient sound out here to go with the theme, and usually I always use my like big studio monitors on my desktop, and I try and set them up behind the wall, and it works, but it's just very bulky and it's time consuming to set all that up. So what I did was I bought these cheap Polaroid speakers, and I had no idea that Polaroid even made speakers, but I got them, I mounted them up here, and they're actually wireless, which is nice. So you got the center speaker, you got the left speaker over there, and the right speaker over there in that corner. And I can connect my phone over Bluetooth, and yeah, have some nice ambient music. And I was going to demonstrate, but I just realized I don't have my phone on me right now. So I'll come back out and show you that in a few. And basically that's all out here that I've got, but my next project, the one that I've been working on over the past few days, the circus sign. Remember I mentioned how I was gonna have the Welcome to the Psycho Circus sign, and that's gonna go outside like on October 1st to kind of show everybody what's to come. And the sign itself is still here waiting to be finished, but I've been working on the next step, which I think is coming along pretty well. So I've been cutting out the letters for the sign, the circus letters, and basically what I did was the same thing I always do when I cut out letters. I found a nice font online that I liked. I printed out the stencils, used an X-Acto knife to transfer it onto the pieces of foam, and then cut them out. And this is how they're looking so far. They're in the middle of being painted, which is why they look kind of weird and greenish, but eventually they'll be yellow. I'm just having to do multiple coats. So, we got CIRCUS. I ran out of room on this table over here. And the thing that I really like about them is I did some very like intricate carving on the inside. It might be kind of hard to see from this angle, but basically these little designs I used a router to engrave, and the little indentions and stuff will be painted a slightly darker yellow than the letters themselves. I think it'll look pretty nice. But this actually brings me to something else that I wanted to warn everybody about if you're doing any foam carving at all. I'm sure that most of you guys, if not all of you, are pretty familiar with hot wire foam factory tools. I have been using them for several years now, like basically ever since I started doing foam projects. And earlier this year, I accidentally broke my hot knife. And I don't blame it on the product at all. It was kind of my own fault. I was trying to rush when I did it, and I was pushing a little bit too hard on it, and it snapped right there. Camera's having a hard time focus, but it snapped right there at the base, and it just stopped working. So I needed something to cut out these circus letters, and I was trying to use like an X-Acto knife, and that wasn't working out very well. I tried using a longer piece on my Dremel, and it kind of worked, but I kept losing control over it. Actually, you can see right there the C has a big gash in it from where I accidentally lost control. But yeah, so I was looking around online trying to see what else I could use, because I was trying to get it done kind of quickly, and I can order another hot knife online, but it'll take a while to show up, and I wanted something like right then. And I saw where Michael's actually sells foam carving tools, and it was actually pretty cheap. It was like $25, and I used a 50% off coupon, and I got it for like $12, and I was like, wow, this is almost too good to be true. And you know what they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. This is the foam cutter. The brand is, it's a Styro Cutter Plus model by Floracraft, I guess. And the first thing that I noticed is it uses a huge power supply. This is the power supply for that. It's like half the size of the carver itself. I mean, I thought that was pretty ridiculous anyway. But it worked. I mean, I plugged it in and I started cutting, and I got halfway through the R, and all of a sudden it just stopped working. So I thought, okay, maybe I overheated it. Maybe it's not meant to be used for long periods of time. So I turned it off. I let it sit for about 20-30 minutes. When I turn it back on, nothing. It just does not work anymore. It has completely fried itself. I don't know, there was nowhere in the instructions that said not to use for any like extended period of time. There was no time limit, there was no nothing. But this is no good anymore. I got 15 minutes of use out of it before it died. So I just wanted to warn you guys that if you're looking for another foam cutter, I would stick with Hotwire Foam Factory. Don't get a cheaper model from Michael's or AC Moore or anything like that, because it don't work. So, now that I've spent like 15 minutes explaining everything, hi! Now we're all caught up, you know what's been going on. But yeah, basically until the projector and lights and stuff come in for the knife wheel outside, the circus sign is my main priority. And right now like I said, I'm waiting for this first coat to dry so that I can do the next coat. Alright, so here's a little bit of a mock-up of the sign so far. I know I haven't been recording too much, I'm sorry. I've just kind of focused on getting these letters done. The cat's meowing outside the door. So I was actually a little bit frustrated because I painted these letters black as a base coat, and then I tried going over them with the yellow paint that I got, which is that, and it wasn't showing through very well. It was, as you can see, like, it just was not covering the black, and it was really frustrating me. This is like 3 coats worth of that yellow paint, and it actually just looks like a weird greenish color. So then I went and I took the darker color, which originally I thought it was a dark yellow, but it's actually more of a brown. But I used that to paint in the carvings, and then I kind of took a step back and realized I actually kind of like how this looks, because it makes it look sort of dirty and dingy, like the paint has kind of worn off over the years. So I actually kind of like the way it looks, but now the brown on the inside doesn't have that effect. So I'm gonna have to go back over again and give it like a small bit of dry brushing, I guess, to try and get that rustic look on it. So basically, when it's all said and done, these letters are gonna have like 6 layers of paint on them, which is kind of crazy. But this is all just mocked up for now. These letters aren't actually attached or anything, because for the sign itself, I'm going to do some red and white striping behind the lettering, and I think that'll look kind of cool. Alright, well, there's the red stripes on the sign. I know it looks like they're very uneven, but it'll look better once the tape is off, trust me. Alright, so I've let it sit here and dry for a little bit. So let's start taking this tape off and see how these stripes look. Yeah, look at that perfectly straight line. I could never do that if it wasn't for this tape. Nice. Alright, this is looking pretty nice, I think. So, you might notice that the black spaces are wider than the red. And that's because I'm going to have like an inch of black space in between each color. So it'll be like red, a little bit of black, white, a little bit of black, red, and a little bit of black, white, you know. Just like the wall is in the garage, it'll match. It's all coming together. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Let's take off all of the tape very, very carefully. Looking good. Alright, there we go. Aside from a couple of minor screw-ups right there, got a little bit of white right there. I think it looks alright. Alright, so here is a mock-up of how it's going to look. The letters aren't actually attached yet. The only thing I have left to do is get them glued on, and I might redo this. It's not quite as centered as I meant for it to be. I might have to paint over that and then write it again, but I don't know, we'll see. And you remember how I said that originally I was going to take some red paint or spray paint or something, and across the side here it was gonna say Psycho. So it'd say, "Welcome to the Psycho Circus." Well, I kind of changed my mind on that. I have another idea that's going to be much, much cooler. I came up with it while I was doing all this. But the thing is, if I try to explain it, it's not gonna make a bit of sense. So, I'm not gonna try to explain it. You'll just have to wait and see until I do it. And I just realized I forgot to shave today.